It was.
Yeah.
How's it going, brother? It's so nice to see you, man. You look so
Doing
great as
good.
always.
So nice to see you. Thank you. So do you, man. Wow. So this
I
is
know
officially the first time
this
we're
is
like
us
publicly
officially
being the
taking our
most best
bromance
friends in
out
the
to the
world
world,
right
and
now.
I love it, and I love it because I know,
Yeah.
man. I'm so grateful to you
Excited,
for doing this.
excited for
By the way,
everybody
everyone
to
who's
see
listening
this
and
go
watching, I know
down.
you absolutely love Shawn just like I do. Shawn doesn't do live so often. He's not always doing things like this, but as an amazing friend, and I want you to just see what a good friend he is, he was willing to do something just for me to help me share what I've been working on for the past couple of years with all of you. So Shawn, I'm deeply grateful to you. I appreciate you more than you know. And the thing I appreciate most is the friendship we've built over the last 2 to 3 years, which has been such a fueling, it's been such a soul fueling relationship in my life, honestly. And anytime we're together, I feel like I have my favorite conversations.
Yeah. Me too, man. Thank you for saying. I mean, I couldn't be happier to do this. I mean, all of my closest friends and all of the people who know me know how much Jay has been there for me over the last few years. I think, yeah, it's been. I've had some really hard moments over the last few years, and you've been there for me in the most beautiful way as a friend and as a teacher. So to support you while you're releasing a new book is the most exciting and the very least I could do.
Oh
I
man,
just love you so much,
that
and
means the
I'm
world to
so
me. And
proud and I'm so happy for you, man. I really
I
am.
hope that you say that you've learned from me, or that I've been helpful to you. I think what's so beautiful about our relationship is I've learned so much from you in the process. I think that you're so much more wiser than beyond your years. You are one of the most reflective, thoughtful, and courageous and brave people I know. I think you've made so many decisions in life already that I would put in that category of being extremely brave and courageous, with so many people would struggle to do.
Thank you,
And
man.
I've honestly never met someone at your age who is so deeply thoughtful, reflective, and I think your community sees that and knows that about you. And so anyone who everything you think about Shawn is
Mm,
true. Like, and I want you to know that all the love you have. All the love you have for this guy is real. He's even
me,
better in person, and he's even more.
and I could say the same about you, man. I think I was like, I told a few people came up to me, they're like, I just love Jay so much. I just love him so
No,
much. I'm
I
like,
appreciate that, man.
you should.
And
It's
go
right.
on.
He's exactly like that. So, dude, you you have wrote an entire
Oh, I
book,
love it.
another
I'm
one,
glad that you got it. I'm glad it's
and I
in your
have
hands.
it
It
right
comes out
here.
in 3 days. There's literally 3 days left till it's out. I, you know
How do
what,
you
right now,
feel? How do you
it's
feel about it?
always amazing as an author
About it
when, and
now?
I'm sure you feel this as an artist, that when you've made something, you've been in the studio. I've been in my cave, almost, like not a real cave, but my cave of writing, to put this book together. It takes like 3 years for me to like research, and I'm reading from ancient wisdom, I'm pulling from modern science, I'm coaching people, I'm sitting down with friends and family, and then all of a sudden you put this piece of work together, and then it's not out there yet, but I've shared it with a lot of people so far. And honestly, the best feedback I've had is that it's a workbook, and it actually works in the sense that the book is full of exercises, it's full of meditations, it's full of
Yeah,
writing letters to yourself. Like, the book is not designed for you to just read it, the book is designed for people to experience it. And I really believe that when people will experience doing the work through the book, that it will work in their relationships. And so I feel really excited and proud. At the same time, it's nerve-wracking because it's not out there yet. And also reading the audiobook, which I just did, like,
yeah,
probably about a month or two ago, when I read and sat. I was in the studio for 5 hours a day for 5 days, and reading it myself was like a really beautiful experience. Because, yeah, relearning. And so You know what? The
Be
truth is,
learning.
when I've obsessed about learning about love for the last 3 years, even more, and I can honestly say that I learned new
Yeah.
things and had
Yeah.
new revelations while writing a book. And so, while I was thinking I was teaching, guiding, coaching, I was actually learning and receiving. So that's how I feel right now, in too many words.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting too, because I feel like there's so many books that you read that kind of point out the problem, and they kind of just tell you that there is a problem, and you're like, great, now I know that there's a problem. What do I do with it? And our friendship actually has been so majorly focused on actual physical, tangible things that you can do to experience more love. I think a lot of the stuff that we've talked about as friends, you know, is how to experience more self-love and how that affects love toward a relationship I'm in, or love toward the world, or love towards family or whatever. And I think that for a lot of people, self-love can be this kind of, it can be this kind of triggering, cringy thing, you know? And then for a lot of people who are curious about self-love, they don't actually understand how to do it, how to cultivate it. And I think, I mean, there's so many things in the book that you talk about, but I
Yeah.
mean, it'd be nice maybe just to
Yeah.
talk
Well,
about a little bit of things, like
I'm
so many
so
things that
glad
we
you
do
brought up
together, you
self-love,
know,
because I
how to
think when people
cultivate
think about,
self-love.
when people see a book about love and 8 rules of love, I
Yeah,
think a lot of people think relationship, dating, marriage or long-term relationships. And as you know, this book focuses
exactly.
heavily in the beginning on self-love and solitude. And I'm really glad that you brought that up, because one thing I discovered while writing this book was that we've started using these words in mainstream vocabulary so often, but so often we haven't really understood what those words mean for ourselves. And so when I was writing this book, I was trying hard to just not use these words that we hear all the time, but actually make sense of them. And one thing I discovered, which I think is what you've done this year and the work that we've been doing together and the work that you've been doing on your own, is that self-care comes from comfort. Like when you create comforts around yourself, it creates self-care. Like when we hear things like, like sleep in, take a bubble bath, like, like light a candle, like these things are beautiful. And and that comfort creates self-care.
That's
So,
self-care.
but what I found is that self-love or self-respect comes from discomfort. And so self-care comes from comfort, but self-love or self-respect comes from discomfort. And I think that's often not talked about enough. Like if you think about what makes you respect yourself, you respect yourself or hold yourself in higher regard when you do something difficult. Yeah, when you go through something difficult. And I think
For
we're
the
not
things that
having
are
that
hard to,
conversation
yeah,
because I think people are doing more difficult things every day than they even know. I genuinely believe that people are going through so much hardship, and
yeah,
that's where self-respect
yeah.
comes from. Like if you sat down and just reflected, everyone who's listening and watching, on the amount of challenges you've overcome, that your heart and soul have been through in the last 12 months, I promise you, you'll have so much more courage and you'll have
Mm-hmm.
so much higher
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem. Self-esteem doesn't come from another person saying you're good looking or someone else saying that you're worthy of love. It doesn't come from someone else being attracted to you or into you. It comes from you having gone through a process. And I think that's what we've been doing. We've been working on, both of us. Yeah,
Jay, can you hear me?
I've got you. I've got, have you got me?
Can you guys still hear me? I wonder if this is,
Okay. You can hear me and
I
see me?
have you I have you in, oh yeah, you come back now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hopefully everything's
you're a little bit breaking up, but I think you'll probably come back. I, it's true, man. It's really true. I mean, I think for me, like, you know, I think if you can hear me, one of the hardest things that, yeah, one of the hardest things, but one of the most impactful things that I have done for myself is go out and like have dinner on my own. And I know it sounds like a little kind of small, but it's really uncomfortable because you're kind of sitting in a restaurant on your own at a table and you're so self-conscious of everybody looking at you and what the waiters think and what people think. And this process from like being very uncomfortable and being very self-conscious to becoming one of my favorite things to do. I have this like routine of like going out and going to this very specific restaurant on my own to get a coffee, and it feels like this like huge moment for me. And now, and in the cringiest words, but I'll say it, it's like a self-date. And that stuff has been super powerful for me. It gives me this feeling of connection with myself, which allows me to feel more self-esteem and less insecurity. And that stuff, it comes from being uncomfortable. And you're so right. The comfort is beauty, and it is such a helpful thing to do, but it's in the discomfort that we really kind of learn to have self-love and self-esteem.
So
Yeah,
I don't know. My
hear you. It's you're a little choppy, but I think it should be okay.
Hopefully you can hear me and see me. Do you want me to move? Do you want me to move location, or are we good? I can move. I can move. I think everyone can hear you. Do you want me to move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe try to move a little bit. Yeah. But anyways, I'll tell these guys while we're here. This is a really cool moment for me. I'm on the back of Jay's book, guys. This is a big moment for me. Yeah, I think for everybody that's on here, I guess you guys don't really know how close of a relationship Jay and I have, but over the last couple of years, Jay has been so extremely close and so helpful with this feeling of self-doubt and this feeling of insecurity and this feeling of lack of love. And through so many of the things that Jay talks about in the book and more, I've really been able to feel a lot more confidence in myself. And it's a process. Like I don't say that with full confidence yet, but it's a deep process. But I'm forever grateful for that. And I'm so glad that you decided to write about that, because yeah, we're all obsessed
Can you hear
with
me
love.
now?
Why are we obsessed with love, Jay? Do you know why?
Okay, I'm like walking around trying to figure out what's wrong with my Wi-Fi.
We can hear you now.
I think everyone's like, Jay, you need to get better Wi-Fi. So I think that's the plan. But 1 second.
Okay, everyone's asking where my hair is.
I love it. All right.
Okay.
Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me and see me now? Yeah. Perfect. So, the truth is that Radhi's office has better Wi-Fi than my office. That's the realization. That's the realization I've had.
Okay, so we're out of office. But I was just like, why do you think it is that we're so obsessed? Why are we so obsessed with love? Like, why is it that we yearn for it? And like, why is it that it's so fragile once we find it, and it's so hard to keep?
Such
and
a great
it
question.
feels like these highs
if
and
you
lows.
look at it from
like, what
a
do you think
wisdom
that is?
point of view, we're wired to love and be loved. Like, that's how we were made. It's what we were made for. It's our heart's purpose and service and calling to love and be loved. And I think we all know that, because we know that when we have love in our lives, we feel satisfied no matter what else is going on. You know, if your love life in terms of your self-love, and if you have a partner, if you have a healthy, loving relationship with them, then no matter what's going on outside, you can take care of stuff. But then the opposite is also true, that exactly.
Like
and then the
like
opposite is also true, that
love.
even if
like
you
it
have
allows
the
you to face
perfect
the world.
external life, but you don't have that love within, you feel really dissatisfied, because it's how we're wired. It's how we're created. I think the highs and lows that you mentioned, they come about because of the material view of love, or the commercialized view of love, where love has been shown to us in particular ways. Like, I'll give an example of what I'm saying to everyone, that I think we've been made to believe there's a hierarchy of love. So the love you have with a romantic partner is seen as above any other type of love. And if I asked people to rate the love they have for their mom or their child against their love for their romantic partner, you just say it's different. You wouldn't say it's more or it's better. But I think society has made us feel inadequate or devalued if we don't have a partner, or if we don't have a romantic love, or we're incomplete because of that.
Yeah, I feel like this, I don't know if this is like a, you know, a sensation, is there's a lot of also societal pressure to be dating and to be searching for that. And I, you know, I definitely feel that, and I struggle with that often, but I think, yeah, it's a high pressure situation when it comes to love. It's like, why haven't you found it? Why aren't you looking for it? You know, and what's wrong with you? And I think that it causes a lot of insecurity, because I think we truly don't, I think, understand where love stems from, in its core, in its root.
I think other relationships like friendships get devalued. Often you find that when we find someone that we're romantically interested in, we forget about our friends, or they forget about theirs. And I think, exactly,
it becomes the highest of value, because it also becomes the scariest.
When I was writing this book, I wanted to make it inclusive to not only finding love, keeping love, and letting love go, but also ultimately getting to a point of like, how do we learn to love everyone? And how do we learn to have loving relationships with each and every person, not just with a romantic partner? And so while the book is aimed at helping people navigate relationships and moving in and dating and breaking up, which are all important, of course, there's also a side of it where it's like, well, what's that deeper inner love that we're all yearning for and seeking?
Yeah, and for like the people that are like in relationships right now, or have been in relationships, what about this crazy standard that you're not supposed to be fighting?
I'm glad you brought that up,
like,
because
what is that? And
I don't know any relationship that I've ever been in where I haven't had a fight. Like, it's just normal. Because as soon as you have two minds with two different sets of trauma, with two different sets of mental health, with two different sets of backgrounds, you're bound to disagree. And I think the key is you're trying to change. Yeah.
I think you said
it's true, right?
So
it's
important,
just reality.
Sets
like,
of trauma too.
And you know, me and you talk about this all the time, like our own mental health. Like, so often what makes us argue with our partner is our own insecurity. It's not necessarily something about them. And what I found, which really helped me, was I discovered this idea that we have different fight styles. And often we want people to deal with arguments in the way we deal with arguments. And so in the book, I talk about these 3 fight styles. We have a quiz that helps people figure out which fight style they have. And I realized this through me and my wife. So I'm a classic venter. Venting is, I want to fix it and I want to figure it out right now. That's why we get along. That's why we get along. And my wife is a hider. She's like, I just need space. I need to be on my own. I need to think about it. I need to reflect on it. And in the beginning of our relationship, I used to say to her, I was like, you don't care about us because I want to talk about it. You want to hide. You want to run away. And she'd be like, no, I do care about it. Yes, yeah. And so what we've realized was now instead of being upset that she needs space and I want to talk about it, we'll set a time and say, look, we're going to come back in 12 hours and discuss this so that I feel I get to digest it, but I'm not waiting 2 days. Yeah. And so the third one is exploding, which is like, I want to talk about my emotions and I want to talk about how I feel. And so none of these are good or bad. And I think if people were to learn their partner's fight style, they'd actually be better at dealing with the challenges that come with it, rather than just thinking that their partner's unreasonable or wrong or doesn't care. Exactly.
Doesn't care about it.
So the book's full of these like questionnaires, surveys, quizzes that will help you kind of deduce these roles that you play. I spend a lot of time helping people figure out the types of exes they've dated, and some of the challenges that come with our repetitive patterns. We keep getting attracted to the same person again and again and again. And then you wonder like why you end up in the same position again and again and again. And so.
Do you think that has a lot to do with the lack of compassion and understanding
of ourselves, us wanting to fill a gap in our lives that often was left by a parent or a love. but we're trying to fill it through another person. And so you keep finding a new person with a new name, with a new face, but you're trying to fill the same gap, only coming to the same realization that the only person who can fill the gap is you. And what if someone else's job was not to fill your gap, was to help you grow? But if you keep forcing them to just fill a gap, they can't help you grow. Yes.
Their job is to support you, and you to support them, but not fill that hole. Yeah. I mean, that's a thing at first that is like so daunting and ominous to be like, now I got to figure out how to fill this internal hole, and I have no idea where to start. But the process, I think you have so many amazing tools, but the process actually, as you start to do it, you start to feel it kind of give back to you very quickly. Super quickly. You start to feel that hole fill up just from a little bit of attention to yourself,
you know, and it's hard, right? I'm not saying it's easy. We're not sitting here, both of us are definitely not preaching, and I'm definitely not preaching or teaching it. I'm just saying that it is hard to work on yourself, but it's harder to expect someone to fill it. Like, that's way more. Yes.
Yeah. It's harder to keep feeling pain. Like, ultimately, the thing is, like, if the constant replay of suffering and pain, it's like, that's a harder experience than the uncomfortable feelings.
What I love this for, Shawn, is because I'm looking at all the comments, and people love you so much. It's so great. There is so much love for you here, and I think a lot of people are resonating with the conversation we're having. I'm seeing a lot of wonderful comments coming in saying, I agree with the point about parents' gaps needing to be filled. I'm seeing a lot of comments about, you know, this is great. Someone saying, I just want to say thank you for teaching me something new every day, which is so beautiful that you all have that. Giselle says, mental health is what I need right now. There's so many people who are looking for that.
And I think this is something to, like, this isn't also, you're not saying like, don't date. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Social media time limit went off. It's not about, you know, saying don't date, or if you're in a relationship, get out of a relationship and focus on yourself. It's just about making sure that you're not putting all of your focus on someone else kind of providing that for you. I think that's really important, you know, and ultimately too, like, you know, Jay, like, I sometimes have this fear, like, am I ever going to be stable? I don't know if that's the right word, or like, am I ever going to have enough self-love for myself to be prepared to be in a relationship again? And I think that that's just a fear. And I think it's very, very possible to cultivate self-love and understanding while being in a relationship with someone and growing kind of simultaneously.
That is such a huge point. Like, it was really interesting. I was reading a study that was saying that how in the past, we used to get into relationships in order to grow up. And now we expect everyone that we're with to be grown up before a relationship. And so times have changed so much where, like, and so I think you're spot on that none of this, say it again. No, please say that again. Exactly. And so I fully agree with you that these are not linear things. It's not like, oh, I found myself, now I'll get into a relationship. Like, you're always finding and discovering yourself. Like, I've made so many mistakes. I've been with my wife now for 10 years. I've made so many mistakes in those 10 years. I have dropped the ball plenty of times. I've said things I wish I never said. I have behaved in ways that I don't think are my best self, but I've chosen to change my behavior and up level every time. And if I didn't have her there to challenge me in a positive way to do that, chances are I wouldn't have grown if I was left to myself. And so even though
we're not, sorry to interrupt you, I was just saying, it's like, we're really not meant to do it on our own. It's so much pressure to put on yourself to have to go through life and grow and do everything right on your own. And that's just not about, you know, a relationship with someone romantically. It's your friends, it's your
Yeah.
family, it's everyone around you.
Yeah.
Like, we really need each other to be able to grow. That's also how we are wired. So that deep sensation and that deep
Yes.
feeling that is like,
Yes, yes.
I need
Yes,
humans.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
normal too,
And I
you
feel
know?
like
Yeah.
we shouldn't change for others, but we will grow more with others. Right? Go and say, yeah, go on, go on, go on. I know where you're going.
Yeah. Well, me first. No, that's right. I gotta say, they really, like, I don't know if anyone who hasn't been in a relationship, the second you're in a relationship, it's like they hold up a mirror to you about all your weird little quirks and flaws, and they show you that, and it makes you reactive, which is a beautiful thing, because you can either take it as like offense, which you probably will take that, but you can also take it as an opportunity to be like, oh, you know what, that's interesting that I do
about
that.
myself than I could have ever learned on my own, for sure. So I always say to people, you just have to start the journey on your own and know it's your journey.
Yeah.
And then someone can join you on that journey.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is when you make someone else your journey, and you want them to take your journey for you. That's when it's hard. But you're so right that we're not meant to be doing this alone. We're not meant to figure it out on our own. But man, you've been so generous with your time today as well. And I love having these conversations with you, and I'm glad we're sharing them with the world, because everyone, these are conversations me and Shawn have every week or every few weeks anyway. And I couldn't be more grateful to you for sharing my work with your community, for being on the back cover and being so kind to share a beautiful testimonial that I love you for. And I'm so excited for you, your future, personally, professionally. I believe in you so deeply with the truth you want to put out in the world, and the genuineness and sincerity that you lead by every day. And everyone who follows you and loves you should know that you're only ever going to lead them in the right direction. And I'm following with them. And so I want you to know that, man. I really do. And I'm so grateful for today, and I miss you, and I can't wait to see you.
Brother. Well, I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited about this, guys. I mean, this is my heart in here. I'm gonna read this probably 50 times, but I also am lucky because I also have the human Jay Shetty that I can call. But if you don't have the human Jay Shetty, this is your second option. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
I know this is very different. So that's
why
I'm grateful to Shawn.
Chat.
For everyone who's asking, because I've seen a lot of comments saying they loved our conversation and where do we get it. The book is available at 8rulesoflove.com. So it's just the name of the book and .com. And of course at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or wherever you go. So if anyone does want to read the book or listen to it, if you'd prefer to listen to the audiobook, I read it out too. So 8rulesoflove.com is where you'll find it. But Shawn, I'm excited to see you, man. I miss you, and I'm so grateful for this, and I'll see you soon, man. Thank you. Thank you to you.
I'll see you.
Please.
And I'm going to say this to my page.
I appreciate
so anyone who wants to rewatch this can rewatch this.
Thanks for being you. That was a very professional interview of you. While my connection was going out, I was like, I'm impressed. This is you're gonna take my job at On Purpose. This is very impressive. I love it, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.